Hello, everybody, and welcome to Lunch for the Soul. I'm Melissa Wilson, morning news anchor for Fox 26 in Houston, also medical reporter. And today I'm going to call myself very fortunate because sometimes the people I meet touch my life so much. And my hope is that they will do the same for you. And I know our guest today is going to do that for you. She is unbelievable. She is unstoppable. And if you want to be motivated, just wait. It's going to happen whether you want it to or not. Without further ado, here's Jenn Drummond. Hello, welcome to Lunch for the Soul.
Hey, thank you for having me. Super excited to be here today.
Jenn, I have to tell you, I have gotten to interview some truly remarkable people through the years. But I don't know that I've ever met anybody like you who has done as much in such a short amount of time. You are remarkable. So, first of all, congratulations on all you've done. And now we'll get to what you've done.
Yay, yay, yay,
I,
yay.
okay, so I'm going to start, first of all, with a picture so we can get an idea of all that you do, first of all, as a very busy mom. A mom of 7. Introduce us to your beautiful family.
Yes, so this is the Super 7, as I call them. My oldest son is Jack. He's 16. Then I have Joe, Jacob, John, and Josh. And I was blessed with twin daughters at the end. So I finally got my girls, Jana and Julia.
All of those beautiful Jays. Oh my goodness, what a family. They are so precious and so unbelievable. Well, your story is remarkable, and that you were a busy mom and then something catastrophic happened that changed your life. So let's bring up what happened. Oh my goodness, when did this happen? You were driving this car?
Yes, I know it's hard to believe that car was drivable when you look at that photo.
Mm.
In 2018, so this is December 2018. I'm driving down the highway, honestly taking in the environment, and all of a sudden I realize I'm going pretty fast and there's a semi truck in front of me that is not. We're going up a hill. He must have hit a stoplight. I didn't, so I had the momentum of not slowing down.
Mm.
I realized, okay, I need to get to the fast lane. So I go to the left lane. And at that same time, there was something on the side of the road where he was. So then he kind of wiggled out a little bit and he had a trailer. So the trailer of the semi crashed into the passenger like headlamp of my car. It sent me
Mhm.
flipping 3 times, right? So endo, endo, endo. And I remember holding on to the steering wheel, just thinking, okay, the only people that survive car wrecks are the ones that are relaxed. So I just need to roll with the car and relax. And I could
Oh,
dilate time enough to be like, okay, I have one more roll. I still have enough momentum. I'm going to go again. And then the third roll happened. And then finally I stopped rolling and I'm sliding across the median and I stop. And there's a part of me that's waiting to be hit by another car, thanks to like Hollywood, that always has these accidents that continue. And a sound starts coming in and I hear this noise. Are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? And I realized that human was talking to me. So I'm like, I don't even know if I'm okay. And I closed my eyes. I wiggled my fingers and toes, and I could feel my fingers and toes. And I'm like, I can feel my fingers and toes. I'm okay. I'm okay. And that's kind of how the accident all unfolded.
okay, now let's go. It's just a remarkable accident. And even the first responders told you they can't believe that you survived, right? I mean,
Right.
they see stuff like that every day. Okay, let's bring in one of your sons. You have a very funny story about how you started climbing a bigger mountain than mom planned on. So first of
Yeah,
all, which in this group is the honorary little turkey who said this to you?
the littlest guy next to the twin girls with the dark blue shirt,
Okay.
Josh.
Okay. Okay,
And
so we're talking pandemic time when you're being super mom and homeschooling.
yeah, so we're all in this homeschool mode. It's 2020, prior to COVID happening. I was training for a mountain called Ama de Blanc. It's located in Nepal. I was climbing this mountain for my 40th birthday to kind of launch this next decade in this next phase of my life. Um, and so my son's struggling with his math homework. I'm like, listen, buddy, we do hard things. You've got this. Don't worry. And he looks at me and he goes, if we do hard things, then why are you climbing a mountain called I'm a Dumb Blonde? instead of a real mountain like Mount Everest. I'm like, whoa, 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 honey. Ama de Blom, not Ama de Mont, but cute. And you do your homework. We'll look at Everest. And so he did his homework. We looked at Everest. I ended up signing up to climb Mount Everest.
And not only did you sign up for it, you had an attitude while you did. Who could possibly pull off this picture? This looks like it's fresh out of a Hollywood green screen. Like there's no way this happened, but this happened.
This happened because here's the thing, fear's going to be there, right? Whatever pursuit or whatever thing we're trying to do, fear is along for the ride. So you have a choice on where fear sits. And for me, I was like, I'm going to play with you. I'm going to have fun with you because you're going to be here anyway. So how do I just try to get over this fear and make it more enjoyable, these moments that it shows up?
Well, anyone who's watched a Mount Everest movie, this is the money shot, right? This is where everybody starts to freak out and hyperventilate and think about how could you possibly pull it off? And you did. But it was pretty tough. So let's talk about the first time you tried, some serious tragedies along the way.
Yeah. So when we did, okay, so we're fast forward a little bit.
Okay.
Everest was one of these. I was training for Everest, and my coach gave me a book to start like reading. And in that book, there was a lady who got a Guinness World Record. And she got a Guinness World Record for doing some mountaineering feats. And I kind of half was joking with my coach, like, hey, I can do this. I can do this. If I got a Guinness World Record, my kids would think I'm cool. And he laughed. We hung up the phone. He called me back a few months later and said, Jen, I have the perfect Guinness World Record for you. I think you should be the first female to climb the 7-second summits, which are the second highest point in each continent. They're actually harder than the first 7. They haven't been done by a woman. You have 7 children, 7 continents, 7 mountains. Sounds like a jackpot. And I'm like, okay, let's do this. Like, I love the mountains. This could be a big platform to empower moms and women and people everywhere. So Everest was on my docket because of my son, but it was also on the docket because it helped me train for K2. So K2 is much harder mountain than Mount Everest. You really don't want that to be your first 8,000 meter peak. So I did Everest, and then I went to K2, and K2 was the mountain that we had tragedy and setback and all these things that prevented us from summiting that first year.
And before we even go any further, I want to say not only was it your goal to get that Guinness World Record, you did it. And you just finished the 7th one. And I was waiting for you to finish so we could have this conversation. I was so scared when I first talked to you earlier today. Did you do it? How did it win? And you were all in. You did it. You did it. We'll get to each of the mountains in just a moment. But I want to say one thing that's really neat, I feel like, is that you take your kids on that mountain, so to speak, in the form of a picture. So the second you summit, you snap those pictures. How much does it mean to you to have them there? And how much do they fuel you to safely do all these mountains you do?
Yeah, I have a super supportive community. When I did Everest, we did a whole community wide at their school, and all the kids selected what their Everest goals were, and they put them on the school hallway, and then the school tracked me. So I have a tracker when I'm climbing, so then the kids could see where I am and what's going on. Having that participation has given my kids a lot of confidence and just feels supportive. Like, mom's gone, but everybody thinks it's cool and everybody keeps checking in on her. So I kind of feel cool that my mom's doing cool things. And so that's been a big piece of it. But I carry their photo with me because there are so many times I want to turn around. Like, I want to be done. I want to go to the beach. I want to be able to walk to a toilet, right? Like, just the tiniest things matter. And so when I hold on to those kids in my pocket, when it gets really hard, I'll dedicate a half an hour or I'll dedicate 15 minutes, and I will just run through all the things I'm grateful for each child. So I truly feel I get to the summit with their energy and their power.
And I feel one of your missions, I feel like one of a power statement that you've had after your accident is that you realized in those moments of being in that car when you're tumbling end over end is that you don't get to choose when you leave this life, because you were thinking right then that might be it, but you can certainly choose how to live it. And I feel like you can empower all of us. It takes a lot of strength, not only physically, but emotionally, to be up on that mountain. And let's get to some of the tough things that you went to. So it was K2 that you had those tragedies. What happened the first time you were up there on K2?
Yeah, so the first time we did K2, big mountains take big teams. And there really wasn't a big team there that year because of COVID and all the different restrictions. So a lot of teams didn't end up going. Our team had people from all over the world. I was the only American. And one of our teammates got into trouble and had frostbite injuries where he had to be helicoptered off and actually ended up losing a hand and some fingers. And then another teammate who I became really close with because English was both our first language, he died in an avalanche. And so you have these tragedies, you have this small team. There's a handful of other things that were going wrong along the pursuit. We decided to stop the expedition and go home without a summit, understanding that the summits are always there. We can always come back, and really sent me on the quest then to say, okay, there's purpose in failure. There's success in failure. What does that look like? How can it show up? It really took me almost the bulk of the whole year to find out where that win was. And the wind came in from when I went, it's time to go back to try K2 again, because we don't always succeed our first time on any pursuit that we do. I got the opportunity to learn about some female Pakistani climbers that wanted to climb, and had the opportunity to help with that pursuit, with gear, with finances, and other things. So when I went to K2 in 2022 and summited, it was amazing by all means, but it was truly amazing to watch these women from this country and culture be at the top of the mountain and know that the whole world is seeing another version of a female in a space that maybe we don't traditionally see them.
That is so powerful. And I see these photos of what is it like to be that high and have a view like this? Are you able to soak it in, or your life is obviously a bit on the line when you take a look at you on the side of this mountain, but can you take a moment to really suck this in and really appreciate this when you're up there?
Yeah, you have to, right? Like you
Uh-huh.
have, like, because here's the thing, you're in these locations that are so remote, so spectacular, so awe-inspiring that you stop and you look and you take photos in your mind of, I'm never going to see this again. Like, I'm not going to go do Cake 2 again. As much as I'm glad that mountain's done, but like there's no desire to go back. And so you want to take it in as much as possible. And when you're at the top of these mountains, you take in this huge inhale and you feel it in your body, and you almost lose form, you lose time, you lose distance, and you
Mhm.
become one with this moment of awe. And you take a few breaths out, and believe it or not, that moment ends. As in, like, I wish we could hold on to it forever, but you just can't. And then you almost say to yourself, okay, soul, here you are. I'm going to throw you out into that world again. And I can't wait to see how I connect with you in my next pursuit. And
It
that's just amazing. It's like the best part of climbing.
I felt like I was on the mountain there with you for a moment. That was beautiful. You could just absolutely feel that moment of what that's like. And I saw one video that you shared with me where you could barely breathe. You take off your mask and you said, okay, we're here and now we've got to go down. What is that like, knowing that it's really treacherous going down as well after you've worked so hard to get to the top?
Yeah. So most accidents and tragedies that happens on the mountains happens on the descent. And so you really need to keep that in mind. Like, okay, most injuries happen on the way down. I need to be very intentional with every step I take. We are not safe until we're home. So just keep that in mind and double check everything, because you're tired, right? You just did this huge thing. The adrenaline's kind of running away, and now you have to get back to safety. So it's very cautious, intentional steps, but you still are kind of like celebrating what you just did. So
Oh, yeah.
that helps for sure.
You got to have it in the back of your mind anyway. Well, you were looking at some studies. You found out that the happiness levels, especially with women, has really been plummeting the past 5 decades, which makes me so sad when we hear that. But you're trying to empower women. And how do you feel like conversations like this can make a difference in a woman's life? Really anyone, but certainly women.
Yeah. I think we subscribe to narratives. And unfortunately, it's not these shocking moments. It's these little things that we absorb from society or from ourselves, and we become the boiling frog of
Mhm.
our narratives. And so I had to be woken up by a huge car crash. I pray to God that nobody else has to have that experience and they can wake up in a more gentler form than what I did. But really understand that we are each gifted this amazing life, and it's our responsibility to do things that excite us. Like my mom's an interior designer. She can look in a store and find things and she gets excited because she can see how they're going to look like on a bookshelf. I zero skill in that. However,
Mhm.
when we're shopping at Costco, for example, together, and she looks up out at the mountains, she doesn't understand why somebody would want to ever climb them. She's like, they're pretty. I don't need to get any closer. I'm like, same way I feel about going into a pottery barn. It's a cute
Mhm.
store. I don't need to buy all that stuff in there. Um, so it's understanding that what gets me excited is for me. What gets you excited is for you. And our goal is to live that excitement as much as possible, because when we step into that, we give all those around us permission to do the same. And it just makes for a better world all the way around.
Well, and I love the fact that you say that, I especially to moms, because I feel like we put our kids first all the time. Everybody first, right? Us last. But you've seen a difference in your life because you used to do that too. That a lot of times, if you spend a little extra time on yourself, you become a better mom, you become a better woman in the entire world for everybody around you.
100%. I run a little challenge about every quarter. This next quarter is an intention challenge. It launches in July. And one of the challenge pieces of it is triggering mindfulness. So you have to have a trigger that causes you to come back to yourself. So sometimes that's when you're at a red light. That's a trigger to say, oh, I'm going to start thinking of gratitude things or think of ways to love myself. It could be every time you open a door. It could be every time you open the fridge or pour a glass of water, whatever you want your trigger to be. Let that be the starting point for you to start saying good things about yourself, start empowering yourself, asking questions of, if I had one day to do whatever I wanted that was just for me, and knowing that whatever that was would help everybody around me, what would that look like? Because that's where it starts.
Yeah, and you have to set up goals, don't you? Because if you don't, it's not going to happen. We'll just live day after day and you just get stuck in a rut.
Yeah, yeah. I really feel goals give us some kind of purpose. And then as we step into those goals, there's things that open or shift or change. And those wouldn't have happened if we didn't take the first steps.
Mhm. When I was looking at your pictures and I see just the majesty in these photos, I can't help but just say, oh my goodness, there's something so much greater than us that made this. And I know that you feel that way too. How has faith played a role in you achieving so much?
Faith has been my grounding force. I can do these things because I know there's something greater, bigger, stronger than me that's holding me and feeding me with these ideas that I get to now bring to life. So that's been a key to everything that's come through. And I honestly am just humbled that I've been able to have these experiences and share these opportunities with so many, because I said yes to something that set my heart on fire.
Yeah, yeah, and wow, and it was, and I feel like now, if we, most of us can't achieve what you have, okay, but if we can do our little goals, we'll feel really good in life.
Yes. But and it's just starting. I think sometimes as moms, we just do and do and do, and it becomes a checklist, and we
Mhm.
forget to feel and be and experience. And so this journey has been an invitation to that for myself and for those all that are witnessing. What can you say yes to that gives you more joy?
Well, and I want to make sure that people have resources. So beyond this conversation, sometimes it takes a little bigger nudge than that. So let's talk about your book, Quit Proof. I don't want to quit anything after talking to you. I want to make sure I reach my goals. But how can that help us perhaps achieve what we're really trying to do in life?
Yeah, the Quit Proof book really brings to life stories and experiences that I've had in the mountains, and then extracts them into tangible bits that you're able to use and execute in your own life, whatever metaphorical mountain or physical mountain that you're looking to pursue. And there's some fun stories. Like I was the girl that had a hair dryer in Mount Everest. And and people are like, wait a minute, what? I said, no, listen, I have long blonde hair. I'm not asking for shrimp, because that's what I want for dinner. But I'm afraid I'm going to get sick if I don't have a hair dryer. And everybody at first was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And then I interviewed a couple different companies. First company said, what do you know? Second company said, yeah, you can probably use a generator once a week. And then the third company was, do you need a mirror? And I'm always like, when I start getting things and I'm being resistant, that gives me a cue. Like, am I being the first company or the third company?
Mm-hmm.
And mind you, I did bring a rechargeable solar battery that powered this little hair dryer that went like, right? Which at first, which meant I had to dry my hair out in the public, which was a little embarrassing because I'm like, I really kind of wanted to keep this private. But then when I went to the next mountain, a couple women came up to me and they said, hey, listen, thank you for drying your hair at base camp because it gave me permission to be a female in this environment instead of pretending I'm a mini male. And now I can do this climb and have fingernails on, and who cares, because that's what makes me feel me. And I'm like, amen, sister, like, go for it. And this is the thing, like, we sometimes do stuff when we do stuff that we need, we give permission to ourselves and those watching to do the same thing. And that just is so much better for all of us.
Well, I'm happy you brought this up because I wanted to very respectfully tell you, I have a lot of friends who climb. And so I've seen their pictures and I know what they look like at Summit. And I wanted to tell you, you are a glam queen. I was so impressed with your mascara. It was perfect. And I'm thinking, how did she do that? And now we know. Hopefully you had that mirror, right? That's
Yes,
awesome.
and I'm like,
What makes you feel comfortable and happy is what's important.
100%. Exactly. And I'm like, listen, if Mother Earth is here, I'm showing up in my best for Mother Earth as a female and honoring who she is and honoring myself.
Oh, I love it. Well, I could talk to you all day, but let's quickly tell everyone you've got a podcast, right?
Yes. Yes. So I have a podcast called Seek Your Summit, and it is all about empowering people, sharing success stories, and people who have really moved from not just success in one area of their life, but have turned into that life of significance. Where can they make impact? Where they can find fullness? How are they balancing? It's really fun.
And you also have a really neat program. So talk about Seek Your Next Summit.
Yes. So I have these challenge programs that we do. They're 40 days. It's big community and just empowering ourselves to do different things. Different parts of the year are different themes. So this summer is intentions of taking care of ourselves. October, we do one about parenting, leadership in January, and then we climb Mount Everest from the comfort of our home in April. So it's super fun.
So I'm guessing just some type of fake step in the house. How are we doing that?
Yeah, it's really like teaching people to say, okay, listen, take a step and, whatever. Or it's funny, you can do 10 runs up your staircase typically, and that's 100 feet. 100 feet adds up. Over 40 days, you can climb the height of Mount Everest. And it's just a fun challenge for people to figure out, oh, maybe I'll take the stairs instead of the elevator.
Oh, I love that. Well, you are just such a powerhouse. Thank you for blessing us with your positive spirit, with what you've done in your life. It's incredible. World records broken one after another. Really remarkable. Congratulations on everything. And we will be looking you up and checking out your podcast and your book.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a great day.
Okay, you do the same. Wow, that was Jenn Drummond, everyone. I'm telling you, she is truly something else. I just want to remind you, you can always join me on Lunch for the Soul every Wednesdays at 12:30 right here. If you happen to join us late today, no worries. You can always go to Fox 26's YouTube page. You can catch this one and all the other ones in the past. I hope you have a blessed day. If you have any ideas, you can always reach out to me, melissa.wilson@fox.com. And I hope to see you back again next week. Have a blessed day.